Hello, people. What is going on? It is Thursday night preview. To my right is Jay. You know who he is. And then we're here to talk about West Ham United's must-win game, because it is must-win, versus Ipswich Town Football Club. Jay, how are you doing, mate?
Hung over on a Thursday, which is not acceptable at my age, but all good. Excited to be back chatting about, as you said, a must-win game. This is the watershed moment for West Ham season, in my opinion. So, yeah, all good. Excited for hopefully a good game on the weekend. How are you, mate?
I'm looking forward to this one. Yeah, because obviously being in Suffolk, speak to a lot of Suffolk people, speak to a lot of Ipswich Town fans, and spoke to a few like recently, and they fancy it. They fancy it against us big time. Yeah, they got a good draw the other week. I'm going to be honest, against Villa. I watched that game from start to finish, and I thought they were well in the game. Yeah, and they don't seem to get blitzed by teams. And listen, they've played 6 games so far this season, 2 losses against City and Liverpool, and they've drew the rest. So this ain't going to be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. But I don't know, Jay. I don't know how to feel about it. This week's been a bit of a mad one. Like Kudus situation with Lopetegui during the week. Like, before we get started on this match preview, what do you make of that situation?
So I thought about this, right? Because I saw a lot of reactions from a lot of areas of the West Ham fan base, and a lot of people that were, again, not to cast shade on anyone in particular, but I saw a couple of like YouTube videos, and I saw one that was like really angry towards Mo Kudus. And I thought, well, if we actually step back, I'm firstly concerned at how on earth did this get out of the dressing room and get leaked? Like that's a weird one in and of itself, and that's something to be more worried about than the actual situation. The situation, I don't actually mind. Kudus is passionate. I want to see him fired up, and if it's not going right, I want to see characters in that dressing room. You want to see people that care and want to play for the club. He didn't kick off because he doesn't want to play for us. He kicked off because he wants to play. And probably because he wants to play in his correct position, which is another conversation altogether. But I also don't mind it from Lopetegui as well. His team aren't playing in the way that he clearly wants them to play. Yes, he's got to sort of take a lot of the blame for that. But ultimately, if he's being let down by certain individuals and he feels like they're not following instructions, then he's fully within his rights to tell them what he thinks and to make changes. So I'm not too reactionary over it. Apparently, it's all been put to bed and it's all fine. I'm happy that we got some fire and some fight in the dressing room. And hopefully that will be the inspiration that we need to try and kickstart some of these key players. Because Mo Kudus is one of a few that, like, you look at him, you look at Jared Bowen, you look at Lucas Paqueta, are like 3-star players who are yet to really get going this season. So hopefully a little bit of argy-bargy in the dressing room has put a rocket up some of them. So yeah, let's see what it does for us this weekend.
The only thing I will say on it, I said it the other day, I done a video the other day, and I basically turned around and said that Mo hasn't turned shit overnight. Do you know what I mean? He's not a bad player. And I don't, listen, I back Mo all the day, or every day of the week, because I know how good this geezer is. Like, we've seen how good this geezer is. And listen, he's got an £85 million price tag on his head for next season. You don't get an £85 million price tag on your head if you're crap. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I do think it's a lot of issues with it. I do think it is also A, the style of play, B, the position where he's in, but we will get on to that. Right, let's get into this match preview. Where is it? It is here. Do you want to start, Jay, and tell us how do we beat Ipswich Town Football Club?
Well, like you, I watched the Ipswich Villa game at the weekend as well. It was a really fun game of football to watch. It really was. I was kind of envious of Ipswich because, whilst I'm not envious of how they defend, I think they are a little bit ropey at the back. They've got Jacob Greaves, obviously, who looks like he's made a really good start to life at Ipswich. Obviously, we were heavily linked with him in the summer. And he looks like he's settled into life at Portman Road pretty well. That being said, I thought defensively they were quite shaky. What Villa created, I mean, their first goal, I think it was Morgan Rogers who scored their first goal. The defending was shambolic. It was absolutely shambolic. So they're a bit shaky at the back. But what I did like and what I was envious of was the way that they counter-attack. When they countered, unlike us, they looked dangerous every time they went forwards. They had some key passes being played. That Liam Delap had an absolute blinder. He was really, really good. So I worry a little bit about him. But in terms of what we do, I think the way that Lopetegui's trying to set us up and is trying to play football, I expect us to see a lot of the ball. I expect us to see a hell of a lot of the ball. Originally, going back a few weeks, I had said this is the week that I wanted to see Alvarez and Paqueta deep with Kudus playing central in front of it. I think my mind's changed based on how things have been going. And I would sooner see Thomas Souček play ahead of Lucas Paqueta at the moment. I don't think Paqueta's done an awful lot. And I think if anyone's going to get dropped, it's going to be him. The danger with that is in a game where you expect to have a lot of the ball, you're going to need Lucas Paqueta to be trying to break teams down and trying to break this defense down. So it's a really, really tough one for team selection this weekend for Lopetegui. But I think we've got to be good on the ball. We've got to be patient. There's no point trying to force key passes when they're not on, because we'll start giving the ball away. The fans will start getting restless. You know, it's going to be a really difficult one to manage. But I think if we score first and we score early, I expect West Ham to keep the ball and control this game. And I expect a comfortable win. But as we've said, and as you've said, talking to Ipswich fans, you know, Ipswich will look at this as a big opportunity to get some points at London Stadium. So, yeah, it's going to be a challenging one. But, you know, I'm confident that we can get the 3 points at the weekend.
Just trying to get to this. Welcome back to Twitter Fever. I'm going to be honest, mate. Twitter's for the fucking mugs, mate. I'm going to be straight. Yeah, I was going to say this. Amount of people that unfollow you because of a opinion, and they want to like believe in something. Yeah. Well, I like to see something to believe it. Yeah. I can't believe in something if there's nothing happening at the minute. So yeah. Listen, I made some good friends on Twitter. Lucas, Mitch, all the boys, Jay, even like everyone. Well, I met some good people on Twitter, but then I've also met some fucking wankers on Twitter and all. So yeah, naming no names. But listen, I agree with everything you just said. Right, I really do. I look at Ipswich. I look at their manager, and their manager is very good. Kieran McKenna, for me, is the next big manager to go to the very top. I like him. I like him a lot. I like Leif Davis. I think he's an excellent player. I think he's a player that West Ham were looking at. Very good left-sided defender, left back, so to speak. Delap caused some problems. I thought Hutchinson was very good. I'm going to be honest. Like ex-Chelsea, I thought he's just popping up in little pockets of space and passing the ball about. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, their midfield is it Sam Morsey? Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he loves a booking. So anyone who wants to have a bet on West Ham at Ipswich weekend, get on him to get booked, because he will 100% get booked on the weekend.
I'll put your house on Calvin Phillips scoring as well. You just know it's going to happen, don't you? Like I've accepted it. Yeah. It's going to happen. We can all move on. He'll give it the big one, and he had every right to celebrate by the way he was treated by some of our fans. Not many, but some of our fans. So yeah, put your house on Calvin Phillips to score as well.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. What do you reckon the reaction's going to be with him?
I think it will be. I don't think there'll be much reaction at all, to be honest. He never settled at West Ham, did he? And I feel for him a bit. Like he looked so short of confidence, he looked so short of fitness, and by the end, I think he knew he was having a stinker week after week. He weren't doing it on purpose. There's a lot of people that were a bit bitter towards him when he moved to just in general, when he went back to City, and then now that he's gone to Ipswich. And I've got no ill feelings towards him. I'm not sitting there going, oh, I really hope Calvin Phillips does well in his career. Like I feel kind of indifferent towards him, but I do kind of feel sorry for him that it didn't work out at West Ham. So I think people will be pretty balanced. I don't think anyone's really going to care. So yeah, I don't expect any much of a negative reception for him.
Yeah, but the only thing I will say, he's gonna have a point to prove, isn't he? This is where I do worry with West Ham, is that you got a player there that's gonna want to just try and show us what a player he is. Because obviously we did give him stick. Listen, I will say it. I thought he was taking the piss out of us at stages and getting yellow cards, getting booked, and giving away stupid goals. But with Ipswich, I just feel he might be at the club. He might be at his level to a point. Because I don't think he's at any higher level at all in the slightest. What do you make of Kieran McKenna? before we sort of got to starting lineup.
Yeah, I think he's done really well. You look at their recent results. Is it 4 consecutive draws now?
Yeah.
So they're a tough side to beat. And I say they look a bit ropey defensively. Well, they concede goals, but they score the same amount as their opponents. And they're no mugs, the teams that they've played. They've got draws in there against Brighton and Villa, as you mentioned at the top of the show. So he's doing a good job. I always worry for managers that typically when a team comes up from the Championship, having played like this beautiful passing style, which you can do in the Championship. If you get it right, Burnley have shown us that you can do it. Ipswich have now just shown us that you can do it. But we know what happens with Burnley. They come up and they see none of the ball and they go straight back down again. So I worried for them at the start of the season. But, they seem to have started well. I don't think you can make too many judgments on how they'll actually do for the remainder of the season. It's always when a team like this comes up and it's exciting for them. I think the first time they've been in the Premier League in just over 20 years. So they'll get buoyed by this excitement. And then once the results start to turn and they start to lose a game and then they lose 2 and then 3, then it can be very difficult to kind of stop the rot and turn it round. So fair play to him so far. McKenna's doing a great job. He's assembled a really decent squad. It's like a Championship super team, isn't it? Like the players that he's taken from the Championship in we obviously got Liam Delap from Manchester City.
Jack Clark,
I was just about to mention. Yeah, he looked really good at the weekend as well. He looked really, really good. So they've got a lot of talent there. Axel Tuanzebe, who I don't remember where he was at his last club, but he's another name and he's a decent player. So yeah, he's done a good job in building a squad, and he seems to be doing a good job in leading that team as well. So hopefully we put a dent in that on Saturday.
Yeah, listen, I like Leif Davis. I can't stress enough how much I'd love him at West Ham. I think he's an excellent player. I agree with what Brozovic is saying in the chat there. Delap, he's a good outlet. Also, he holds the ball up well. He's good at running in behind. That's them. What about West Ham? Because I'm going to be honest, if we don't win this game at the weekend, questions seriously need to be asked without people unfollowing people and start acting like fucking tarts. Literally, he needs to get a performance, Lopetegui. There's no excuses. Like, we can't be like blagging this and giving excuse after excuse, like the players weren't fit, they're not up for it or whatever. Like, Jay, how do we get the result from the West Ham side?
Really, really simple. Play someone actually in the number 10. We haven't seen it all season. We've been playing, and we had it the weekend just gone against Brentford as well. We played this kind of flat 3. The second half, Soler was pushed a bit further forward, and when Brentford had the ball at the back, it was like a 4-4-2, and you had Antonio and Soler doing the main pressing of the centre backs. But when we've got the ball, we need somebody that is in between the lines. We need somebody who is going to drop off and do the stuff that Antonio was having to do himself in the first half, because that was a complete waste of time. I get what he was trying to do. I don't have an issue with like why he did it, but from a team perspective, it just didn't work. There's just a vacuum of space in that kind of number 10 area. And when Antonio drops into it, we don't have the strength and we don't have like quite the right players. Bowen was trying to fill in for him, but if you're putting a cross in for Bowen, Bowen's like not exactly the best in the air. I know he scored a few headers, but he ain't going to win many headers against like towering centre backs, is he? So for me, I'd want to see. I think Souček's like proven that he needs to be starting. But I like, as I said in the video a few weeks back, and as we've seen from his performance against Brentford, he's a lot better when you play him deeper. He gives us that structure in midfield. Ipswich are really good on the counter, so you'll need someone with that kind of solidity to offer that solidity in midfield. So, yeah, I think really, really simple. A nice 4-2-3-1. Be prepared to have a lot of the ball, a lot of fluid movement, and I think we'll have too much for him. I feel weirdly confident that we should get a result against these guys. But again, as I think it was Sadadi earlier in chat had said, it's all about Lopetegui getting the lineup right, and can we trust him to get the lineup right? Because he's struggled so far in picking the right team. So we'll see.
I agree. Before we get to the starting line, I'll give you my final thought on it, on this match sort of preview. For me, Lopetegui has to get this starting lineup right. There is no more excuses. I can't hear bollocks anymore, right? He's got the players, he's got the talent, but has he got the minerals to go through with it? For me, it's all about how we approach this game from the start. I do fear with us, like, especially against these lesser teams, that the pressure is more on West Ham. And the pressure hasn't been really on West Ham recently, but it's more on us to beat this side. Now, if it comes to 5 o'clock and we haven't got the result, I don't even want to do this. I don't even want to do this video. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I know what it's going to be. The problem I've got with Lopetegui is I can't hear no more fucking excuses.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's the thing that I can't hear, Jay, anymore. Like, because if you can't tell me he can't get that front four right, yeah, when he's got the talented players there, Crescensio's there, he's naturally left-sided. You ain't got to keep playing Mo on that side. Then we will see. But for me, this is on Lopetegui to get right. He has to get it right at the end of the day, and you can defend him and you can trust the process. But for me personally, you have to give us something to trust. And I've not seen nothing that I'm going, right, I trust that man to do that at the end of the day. Right, let's come to this, which is going to be interesting. Starting lineup. I think we can sort of all agree that Ariola is going to be the goalkeeper. Back four is going to be interesting because Emerson didn't do great the other day. What you saying?
Yeah, I think the two centre backs were really, really good against Brentford. I'm really happy that Tadebo's made a good start. This is another good game for him to sort of build some momentum, get another 90 minutes in against the team. You know, he's coming up against no mugging Liam Delap. We didn't mention Sammy Smodic will potentially play as well. So, you know, we'll have some challenges, but at the same time, I think both of them looked really, really good against Brentford, and I back them to put in another good performance against Ipswich as well. The fullbacks is interesting, isn't it? Because Emerson had a stinker and got hooked at half time. So, and for me, I really liked what I saw from Wan-Bissaka when he played at left back. I think the thing that limited him was when he's making these runs forwards, he was having to be the one that was darting to the byline and trying to cross on his left foot. But when he was sort of underlapping and inverting, he looks so dangerous. Those powerful runs into the gap were so dangerous, but he didn't have the right player on the left until Somerville finally came on, and by that time it was pretty late in the game. So I'd like to see potentially us go with a back four that finished the game. I'd be happy with Mavropanos at right back and Wan-Bissaka at left back. Personally, I've got no problem with it. But I've also got no problem with Emerson coming back in and having another go. So I'm kind of 50-50, to be honest.
Do you feel a bit nervous with playing three centre halves in the back four? Like if one of them goes down injured, this is where I said it before, Jay, and this is where I do look at that window and I think, well, you get rid of Aguerd, I agree, he's not the guy. But to have three of your centre halves playing, if one of them goes down injured or whatever, then we are scrambling about for another centre half. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, I think Mav had a really good second half performance against Brentford. I'm going to be honest. I thought, he looked all right. He was going up and down the pitch well. Tadebo and Kilman, just give them time. I will say that. Like this, a lot of people say you've got to give the manager time, but I will give them time because I think you can see a developing partnership there, and it's going to be interesting to see over the next few weeks how they sort of develop. Wan-Bissaka on the left, I agree, but I'm just so sceptical with using like three centre halves in the back four. I don't know about you.
Dare we suggest the idea of starting Soufal and putting Wan-Bissaka at left back? Dare we suggest it? And I've thought about this as well, right? Because we know his limitations. We know that he basically looks like he's running in custard. He's so slow. But at the same time, he unlocks the best from Jarrod Bowen. So you think about this, Jarrod Bowen is a lot more dangerous when he's got a right back going beyond him. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is not that right back. He tends to sit a bit more, and he tends not to offer an outlet beyond Bowen, but offer him a way out backwards, which leaves Bowen a little bit isolated on the right-hand side. But when Soufal goes beyond him, he drags a player, and then Bowen's got a bit more space to play with, and that's when we see the best come out of him. So I actually wouldn't mind if Soufal starts, because to your point, I could not agree more. It frightens me, the concept of having all three of our senior centre-backs in the starting lineup. One gets injured, as you say. What do we do? We're down to the bare bones, and it'd be Caelan Casey, which delighted for him to have effectively got the nod as our fourth choice centre back at the moment. Because again, Edson Alvarez has got a lot to prove in this game, which we'll come to shortly. But if he was to drop back into centre back, you go back to the problem of having another slow centre back with a high line, and we don't want to be seeing that. We saw that Mavropanos, he's not the quickest. He's not slow, but he's not the quickest, and he struggled with the high line at centre back. So I don't want to see Edson Alvarez have to go back there, and I fear that if we overcook all three of our centre backs as you say, we could find ourselves in trouble when an 18-year-old might have to come in and try and save us, which I would worry for him getting shoved in too soon. So yeah, difficult one, but I think there's a case for Soufal starting in this game if we do see Wan-Bissaka switch to left back.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go to midfield. Is it a flat three? Is it a 4-2-3-1?
For me, it's 4-2-3-1. It has to be 4-2-3-1.
Right.
If there was a game where you were going to start the midfield three that I'd mentioned of Alvarez deep, Paqueta next to him, and then Kudus in the 10, this would be the game. I don't necessarily. I think I've changed my mind. If the season was going better and we were showing more signs of a bit more solidity, then I would probably be banging the drum of we need to see that midfield. But considering how important Souček's been, for me, the midfield two needs to be Alvarez and Souček.
Alvarez, yeah, I agree. He's got to show passion, apparently. All right, Alvarez has to play. Yeah, I would go with that. Listen, Souček, for how much people don't like him, he scores goals, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's just that bastard who scores goals for us, isn't he? Do you know what I mean?
I love him for it. Yeah, you got to love it. He just proves the doubters wrong, doesn't he? He always proves the doubters wrong. Like every time you need someone to come up trumps, he's the man. Like
he just does it, doesn't he? So you've got to respect it. Even though you might not like the way he plays, you got to respect it. I agree with you. Now, let's go into the front four. Yeah. And I'm going to say this, if Mo is on the left on Saturday and he doesn't put in a good performance, sure to God that must fall on Lopetegui's fault, not Mo's fault for being shit on that left-hand side.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about this for a second, right? Because again, I've seen an area or a narrative that was pushed. I can't remember where I saw it, somewhere on your favorite app, James, of Twitter, that was criticizing Mo because he's a right winger who's struggling at left wing, but he should apparently automatically be good on the left wing. He's a left-footed player and he should be able to do that. That's not his game. Like that, you can't just ask a central midfielder to play on the left because he's a midfielder, so he should be able to do it. That's not how the world works. By that logic, we should have tried Bowen on the left by now. But again, you take away his main threat, which is cutting onto his right foot. So, I feel a little bit in terms of, I feel massively for Mo because that left wing position has been a curse for us for a couple of years now. We've struggled ever since when Ben Rama started dropping out of form. I mean, he was rarely in form, but when he dropped out of form, we just couldn't find a solution for it. And I don't want to see people just shoved out there anymore. For me, it has to be Somerville. Like you've got to chuck Somerville on the left. He brings the best out of whoever's behind him as well. I think Emerson, it will be a big game for him if he does start, and he'll have a lot more to do going forward, whoever plays at left back. So for me, you need Somerville out on the left. And for me, you push Kudus into the middle in the 10. Either that or, again, I know where you're going to go with this, but I'm interested to see your thoughts. What if Antonio starts? Because again, do you think this is the game for him?
I just don't get it, mate. I just don't get it. Listen, I understand it from a younger fan's point of view. Listen, I'm an older bastard, right? So I can understand it from someone who's 25 and under. Yeah, that they rate Antonio highly and they're not going to have anyone disrespect him. I get that. But in some games, I just think he's null and void. It's just, what is the point of him being there? Do you know what I mean? Like, is he just there to hold the ball up? Is that it? Now, if he's not doing that, he's as good as useless. Now, the other week, he got an assist, apparently, for the goal. Now, if we're going to give him assists for having pot shots from outside the box, we'll take about 3 ricochets, then fair enough. The issue I've got is the left side. You've got Crescencio Somerville on the bench, who's there. Yeah, he can play on the left-hand side. I agree with what people are saying in the chat there. Lucas Paqueta has not pulled up no fucking trees. I mean, everyone's mentioning Antonio, Souček, Somerville. No one's mentioning the betting sensation that is Lucas Paqueta. Now, he's got to have a good game. Now, for me, if you don't want to play Mo on the left, you play him as a 10. You simple as that. And you put Lucas Paqueta on the left. Do you know what I mean? Where he can sort of link up with Wan-Bissaka or Emerson to a point. I feel like every time we play a striker, Jay, I've said it so many times on this channel, we're always going to be out of position on the left side because you can't drop Mo because he's too good to drop. But then where do you put him? to a point. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think to the Paqueta question, right? Because you're 100% right. He's not done anything this season. I think he was okay against Brentford, but again, I feel like the formation's not getting the best out of him as well. But in his role, I need to see him want the ball more. I need to see him. He needs to be the guy in midfield who, when we're building up and when we're looking for the right pass, he's the one with like a brilliant footballing brain where he can just pick a pass out of nowhere. He sees runs that other players in our team just will not see, and he finds the angles for the right passes. So for me, in a game where I expect us to have a lot of the ball, and in a game where I expect Ipswich to sit quite deep for large parts, and they'll try and hit us on the counter, I think you're going to need him. So, and again, I'm going to nail my colours to the mast on what front four I would start shortly. But if we do put Mo into the middle, which I've got no problem with, I think I'd rather see him in the middle than out on the left. If it was to be if we did get this world where we drop Paqueta, right, and we see Somerville, Kudus, and Bowen as your midfield three, where's the creativity coming from in that midfield? That's my only concern. And we've really lacked creativity anyway, and I think that's because we've played Paqueta in a very, very restricted position. Because as per Lopetegui, I saw a quote from his press conference where he was talking about he needs the players to play as a team. And you can tell, and now that he said that, I'm like, well, yeah, you can tell he's kind of gone in and dented a few egos. And he said, this is the way we're going to play football. I know what your natural games are, but this is the job I want you to perform. Hence, he's got Mo out on the left. Hence, he's got Paqueta playing deep, which, whether you agree with it or not, that's what he's doing. So, like, at the same time, I think you're going to need, like, his creativity somewhere.
Yeah, but don't you find, though, Jay, that's like, I'm going to say it, don't you find that's being stubborn to a point? That he's got talented footballers there, but he's going to play his way, and they've got to adapt to him when he's got players who can adapt to other ways of doing it. I think that's a stubborn approach to a point. You know what I'm saying? And that stubbornness will end up getting you fired if you carry on doing it over and over again. Yeah. I agree with you 100%. So let's nail this front four down. Who goes left for you?
Somerville. You've got to start Somerville. The talk of he was apparently in the side until late, and then Lopetegui made a last minute change or something for the Brentford game. I don't know, very confusing. But for me, you've got to put Somerville on that left hand side. Like, it's absolutely nailed on.
Right side, Bowen. Would you say or not?
I think I put Bowen up front in this game, and I put Kudus on the right, and I put Paqueta in the 10. For me, I think it offers more in terms of being able to break down a team and offer different types of threats. And we saw what Antonio could do off the bench. Was it Liverpool? I can't remember what game he came off the bench. It looked really good. But he come on and he did exactly what we needed him to do. He put himself about. It wasn't pretty, but he caused a load of problems, and that's what we're going to need. So I'd sooner he comes on for the last 20, 30 minutes and does something from the bench. So that's my midfield three personally.
That, for me, I agree. Somerville left, Kudus right, Paqueta has the 10, and then Jared Bowen up front. For me, I understand the Antonio thing, but that front four will do damage against anyone. Do you know what I'm saying? If they're all in their right positions. Now, Crescencio Somerville, right? I see him get a lot of shit. What's he done wrong? Against Chelsea, there was fans booing that he was getting subbed off, and we haven't seen him since.
It was loud, mate. Yeah, obviously I was there. Like, it was loud, and we were all bemused. Everyone was totally confused when he come off, and it deserved booing. It was a horrendous decision to take him off. He was our most dangerous player, and he's been getting better and better. You've got to keep giving him a run of games so that he can actually get up to speed and find his feet in the Premier League. So yeah, it was odd. So just very odd, mate. I don't understand why he's struggling to get in this side. But to your point, he's adamant that he wants to be pushing Kudus out there, it seems, and he's not getting the best out of him either. So it's very confusing, mate.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Let's come to this, and that is predictions time. I'm going to leave Jay till last. I'm going to go first. I'm going to say, I don't know why, but I think West Ham might do this team 3-1. I've got a feeling. This feels like Luton last season all over again, where we needed a result sort of at the end, and we need a result now. I think they're going to be an hard nut to crack, but I do think we're going to break through early in this game. And if we come out all guns blazing, we should put this team to bed quite easily. But if we don't, and it's like the 70th minute, and it's like 1-0 or something in the game, then the pressure is going to be firmly on West Ham, because I'm going to be honest, if we draw with Ipswich Town at home, then who the fuck can we beat? Like, do you know what I'm saying? And that's not me being like negative, it's me being honest. So I'm going to be positive on this one. I'm going to say 3-1 West Ham. I think West Ham know that they've got to put a performance in. It's a big game before the international break. I think they will do it. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Mo, because if Mo's on the left and he doesn't perform again, can people please start looking at the fucking manager and ask the question? That's all I asked for people, is to ask the fucking question of why do you put Mohamed Kudus on the left when you know he's not a left-sided attacker? And just to say this before I hand it over to you, Jay, there was a great message on one of my videos, and he says, like, getting a fish to climb a tree. It don't work. You know what I mean? I fucking love that quote. It was very good. Right, Jay, what you saying?
First of all, I see Sir Daddy in the chat, like, just chill, bro. Just chill. Everything's going to be okay. Like, don't worry so much. I feel oddly confident. I feel oddly confident in this game. I said at the start of the video, I'll say it again. I think this is the watershed moment for West Ham season. I feel really confident that we're going to put in a good performance. This is the kind of game where expect us to have loads of the ball. If we've got the right players on the pitch, which, you know, who knows whether we will, and, you know, we'll be able to sit here and have a chat about it at some point afterwards, and we'll see whether he had the right players on the pitch. But I'm confident that we're gonna win, and we're gonna win well. So I'm gonna say 3-0 to West Ham. I think hopefully we see some goals from those key players. I hope Paqueta silences the haters as well. Like, I'm confident that he's going to come good at some point. And hopefully this is the turning point that we need in the season. So, yeah, I think 3-0 West Ham.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this game. But all I'm going to say is there is no more excuses. I see someone in the chat earlier on saying this is not a must-win game. For me, it is. Because if you're going to try and compete for Europe, if we can't beat Ipswich Town at home, and we've got Tottenham away next, and then Manchester United at home, this is a must-win. Do you know what I mean? To a point, like, let's not kid ourselves. This is must-win.
And I fear for that Spurs game. I fear we'll get taken apart by them. They looked so good against Manchester United the other day. And granted, Manchester United were bad, but when it was Moyes against Ange, it was like Batman versus Superman. It was like a complete clash of styles. It was like the perfect antithesis, Ange ball and Moyes ball. And we just sat back and soaked up a load of pressure and hit him on the counter. And it worked really well. Lopetegui won't do that. So if he doesn't win this game, then expect some punishment at Spurs. And expect a tough game against Manchester United as well. Like, they are crap, but we'll struggle, I think.
I'm going to be honest. The Tottenham game worries the life out of me.
Yeah.
Because as a West Ham fan, as we all are here, and people who are watching this currently right now, we don't like to lose to Spurs. Yeah, at the best of times. And we certainly don't like to lose to Spurs if we're going to get hammered by them. Do you know what I mean? Because we won't be the fucking last of it. I mean, let's be honest, it's their cup final. It's the only thing they can fucking win.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, I need West Ham to go in to get this job done against Ipswich, and then go into that game with a sort of refreshing confidence, so to speak. And then I will feel at ease. If West Ham, if it's lackluster on the weekend, then we don't get the result at the weekend, and you go into an international break, then things might turn different. Before we go, Jay, Jared Bowen hasn't been picked for England. What is your thoughts on that?
I haven't seen the full squad. I've obviously seen the news. I think it's probably the right call. He hasn't done enough to warrant being in the England sides. I hope that this is... I mean, look, there's benefits in a couple of ways, right? One, he's going to get a rest, which I think he needs. He's obviously been travelling here, there and everywhere with England, and he's been the guy that we turn to time after time. So I'm happy for him to have a break. I'm disappointed for him not to be in the squad, because obviously he loves playing for England. He is good enough to play for England, but he currently hasn't been good enough for West Ham. So it's probably the right call. And I hope that A, he gets rested, and B, I hope it puts a rocket up him. And I hope he looks at himself and goes, right, I am the player that deserves to be playing for England. So he's now got it all to prove again. So it's probably the right call, and hopefully it does right for him.
Can I ask a question to you, Jay? Is the captaincy weighing him down a little bit for you?
It's a good question. And I don't want to. I don't want to say yes to that one yet.
Because I just want to say this, the reason why I say it is, will Bowen get in the face of someone and tell them that they're fucking shit and they need to liven up?
No, he's not that bloke, is he? He's not that bloke.
It feels to me, Jay, like he's not everyone's mate. Right, that's a wrong choice of like looking at it, but I feel like I don't think he's got that in him to upset someone for the sake of the team. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if Lucas Paqueta's not playing well, is he going to turn and say, Lucas, you need to liven up?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. What I see him do a lot of, obviously he's allowed to, so he is constantly in the ear of the ref, which I like. Like, he is the bloke who should be in the ear of the ref. But I need to see him, to your point, I need to see him getting in opponents' faces. I need to see him getting in his teammates' faces. When we concede a goal, he needs to be what I always liked. People who've seen me speak about Mark Noble before know that he's an absolute legend, and I love the bloke. What I always used to like, when it weren't going right, you could see him on the pitch. If we conceded, he'd run over to the centre backs, tell him exactly what he thought of them, exactly what they needed to be doing more of, and he'd be the first one to put in a big challenge to go and try and liven things up. That is what you need from a captain. That is not the type of person that Bowen is, and so he's going to have to learn that, and he's going to have to learn it pretty quickly. Is the captaincy weighing heavy on him? I'd say wait and see. I think the style of play is just weighing heavy on everyone in the team at the minute whilst we're trying to learn it. And he, along with all of our other key individuals, are still figuring out where they fit into the formation and where they fit into the strategy. So I would say not yet, but let's see when we start getting going. And I'm confident that we will get going at some point this season, whether it's in 2 weeks, 2 months, or in May, I don't know. But we'll wait and see on that one is my answer.
Yeah. For me, there's no one else who can captain the ship at West Ham. You can't trust Edson Alvarez. That was apparent at Liverpool away. He goes flying in. And I rate the passion and commitment, but you need someone on the pitch to be the captain. You can't have him keep being suspended. And when you go through that team, there's not many leaders in there. There really isn't. When you go back years ago, when you had Noble and you had Rice, you had leaders on the pitch. Do you know what I'm saying? Who could, like, if ain't one man, it'd be like 2, 3, 4 man. I don't see many leaders out there. I see a lot of people that shy away when the going gets tough to a point, which is not good. Any final words for you, Jay, before we make a move?
I look forward right, when Lucas Paqueta scores at the weekend, make your apologies as loud as your disrespect, everyone in chat and in general. I look forward to it. It's going to happen. It's okay. Embrace it. Enjoy it. I'm still waiting for Luis Guillaume to come on and score at some point. I need to order my flares from Amazon so that I'm ready. But I'm confident. I stand by 3-0. If we don't win 3-0, like, as long as we win, I don't really care. If we don't win, again, we'll all be all right. Everyone's alive. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, I'm confident. I think we're going to do well. And yeah, looking forward to the game.
My final thought is this before we make a move, is this game's important. Like, this is massive. This one is massive. Like, we haven't really kicked into gear this year, and we're playing at Ipswich Town at home, where when you look at the talent pool that West Ham have currently right now, we should be rolling Ipswich out the ground. Yeah, that's the first thing. I think this is a big game for Lopetegui and all. I think he has to show something in this game, just like show a style, show a way how we're going to play. And I think the performance is needed. I think we need to put in a 10 out of 10-ish performance. Like, I can't remember the last time West Ham played really well. Like, I'm going to be honest. Yeah. We haven't played really well for a long time. Yeah, even under Moyes. Yeah, we didn't play really well for a long time. And probably the game that stands out to me currently right now, was just shot into me nut, is Liverpool at home a few years ago when we won 3-2 and Pablo Fornals. Like,
what a game that was.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So I need to see something from West Ham to say, right, we're going to turn a corner. At the minute, we're still on the we're still on the corner. We ain't turned no corner at the minute. So listen, I need to see something from him, and I think his team selection and the way he sets up will decide how we get on the game to a point. Yeah. That is us done, ladies and gentlemen. Please do smash a like on the video. Subscribe to E20 Zone TV and hit the notification bell. Tomorrow, I will try to sort out about getting an opposition fan on tomorrow about 4:30. Rich, who's an Ipswich Town fan, is going to come on. He's going to have his say about Ipswich, West Ham, and more. So yeah, let's try and get this done. And I'll be back at the weekend. West Ham, please don't let me down. Please get it done. Otherwise, there'll be tears on Twitter and tears on here. Abosh.